Hey guys, my name is Jacqueline Cassell. You may know me here on YouTube as Jackie Cass 1. I've been posting drum covers here on YouTube since I was 14 years old, and the one thing that was missing when I got started was an easy to understand how-to video on how to record and post drum covers. So in this 4-part series, I'm going to be showing you my kit setup, my mic setup, how I record the audio, film the video, how I put everything together and post it on the internet. Alright guys, so this is the video you've been waiting for. In this particular episode of how to record your drums, I'm going to show you how I record my drums and how you can get started today as well. I'm going to show you how to record all of these microphones onto separate tracks into Garageband, and afterwards how to edit them and make them sound pretty great. Then finally, I'll show you how to export this track in order to move on to our final step, which will be the next episode on how to film and edit together these drum covers. I'm going to be using Garageband today, and actually I use Garageband anytime I record the drums, and I have the option to use Logic or something a little more advanced, but for what I'm doing, it's just really not necessary. So let's just stick to the basics. Everybody has Garageband if you have a Mac. If you do have a PC, I have an older video that I recorded on how to record the drums in Cubase. Go check that out, and that might help you there. So let's open up GarageBand, and I'm going to show you how to put all of these microphones and drums on their separate tracks in order to start recording right now. So let's open up GarageBand and open an empty project. Once we have GarageBand open and we have selected new project, you want to select audio because we're going to record using a microphone or line input. And now you want to make sure that your interface is connected and turned on. More than likely, when you open up GarageBand, it will detect that you have an interface connected. And in my case, it's asking me if I want to use the audio device. I'm going to hit use because that is my Tascam interface that is connected to my MacBook. So now what we want to do is create an individual recording track for each microphone that's coming into the interface. I'm going to name this first track Kick. So in this case, what I'm going to do now is select this mixer button up here. I'm going to bring this up a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And what I want to do here is correspond, say, the kick microphone to the correct track. So in my interface here, the kick drum is in line 1. So on the computer here, we want that to correspond with the correct input. So here we have 1, it's already set to 1, so we're all set, good as gold. Let's move on to the next one. So what we want to do here is go up to track and hit new track. And it's also going to be a line input, and that's going to be the same for each one. So in my interface here, line 2 is the snare drum, so you know what to do, snare. And line 2, we want that to correspond with the correct channel input, so you're down here and select 2. And so you're probably kind of catching my drift here on what to do, so let's do this for each input on this interface. All right, so for this last track here in channel number 10, this is something important that I didn't mention earlier. If you're recording drum covers, you probably need music to somehow get into your mix, right? So in input number 10, I have a 1/4-inch cable here that's connected to an 1/8-inch cable, which is then connected to a lightning adapter, which then I plug into my phone. Then, if I'm recording something, I go into Spotify and hit play, and what that's doing is taking that audio, putting it into the interface. So for channel number 10, that's gonna be called music track, and you're just gonna set it to input 10, similar to what you did to the other one. So now, looks like we have all 10 inputs here matching the correct channel on my interface. So the next thing you probably want to do is record, right? Well, here in GarageBand, you probably don't see the record enable button here on these tracks. That's really important because what will happen now is if you go to hit record, it will only be recording on this first track here where the kick is. So you want to record enable all of the tracks because, well, you want to record all of the mics at the same time simultaneously. So what we're going to do here, you're going to control click on the track and you're going to go to configure track header and you're going to check record enable. That's super important because, well, we want to record, right? What you want to do here is check each one to make sure that it's lit up, which means it will record all at the same time. Now, something that I didn't mention earlier is when I am recording, I have my in-ears plugged in directly into my computer. Some people might want to plug them directly into a 1/4 inch into your interface, but the reason why I plug them directly into the computer is because I want to hear what is happening in real time into my ears. It also gives me the freedom to mix each drum and play it live and hear it mixed into my ears. It's really awesome stuff. You want to hit this button next to the record button, which is the input monitoring button. You want that on so you can hear what you're playing live. Kind of looks like we're ready to go. So make sure you test all of your tracks, make sure everything's coming in correctly, and you're pretty much ready to record. All right, so now that we've recorded this clip, let's go into Garageband and let me show you how I edit each track. All right, so here we are in Garageband. Here's my recorded file of the little clip I just played. What I'm gonna do here is edit down what I need or what I don't need. And now this isn't a full cover, it's just a short clip to give you an idea of how I go about my process. So like, I'm gonna cut out just this first part because I don't need the whole clip. I just want the part where the fill starts and whatnot, right? Okay. All right, so we're just gonna Command T. I'm gonna delete that, and then we're gonna highlight it again. I'm gonna drag it to the beginning of the timeline. See, where's it end? All right, so it ends there. Command T, I'm gonna cut that excess off. Once you have the track edited down to where you want it and you've fixed any structural issues, or maybe you have some snare hits that you missed, you wanna replace them there, whatever it might be. Next, you wanna move on to EQing and editing your drums. For me personally, I only use a little bit of EQ and some reverb and ambiance, as you can see down here. And by the way, you open that control by pressing this button here, little mixer. For me, like, some people sample and trigger their drums a lot. I used to do it a ton. Now I only trigger my kick, and for those that aren't familiar with, it's basically drum replacement. And so I've always had issues like EQing and mixing my kick. It's just something I never want to deal with. So I trigger it. Just if anybody's curious to look into that, Steven Slate, really great program, bunch of YouTube videos on it. Go check that out. For the rest of my drums, it's just simple EQ. As you can see down here, as I scroll through, it's all pretty much EQ. I am not a master on EQ, but I will show you what mainly most of my EQ plugins look like for each drum. I couldn't tell you really much about what this means. I mean, I could tell you some, but this isn't the video for that. I'm not the best person to do that, but I would encourage you to go on YouTube and look up some EQing videos. Mainly for me, I EQ by sound, just like I tune my drums. I tune my drums. I don't use the tune bots and all this other tune dial or drum dial. I basically just tune my drums to how I think they should sound, and that's kind of how I EQ my drums. So it's kind of personal preference, but there's also, I know, a lot of technicalities to it. I'm not that person, so if you are, I encourage you to go read about it, watch videos about it, etc. So, and then once you've got your track to where you want it, I Command All. I'm gonna go up to Share and Export Song to Disk, and we're just gonna save it. I'm gonna save it as Dua Lipa because that's where it is. I choose MP3 because honestly, that's all I feel like I need. Some people might want a higher quality wave. Let's hit export. Whew. All right, guys, so that's it. Hopefully you're still sticking with me, and hopefully that all made sense. Of course, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to help and answer those. If you haven't seen the first couple episodes of this series, please go check them out. The first episode is where I review my kit setup. The second episode is where I go over all the microphones that I am using in this video. And finally, the next video that I'll be posting will be talking about how I film and edit these videos together. And so make sure you stay tuned for that, and we'll catch you soon. Thanks, guys.